If you'd like to utilize the closed captioning feature, you may do so by clicking on the small dialog box in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. We have a lot of great information to cover today, starting with the Transportation Improvement Program projects that we were awarded in 2025, and we'll talk about the projects that we're pursuing for federal funding under that program, as well as the Transportation Alternatives Program in 2026. I'm now going to hand it over to Joe Colessa to kick things off. Joe?
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending today. We have quite a number of projects to go through and show you where we're going. And with that, I'm just going to hand it over to Glenn.
Helps if I unmute myself. Okay, so first up on the agenda is projects we received last year. They are underway. We have consultants on board to start on the design. Not a lot of projects as you may be used to in this meeting. Well, we had, I want to say 9 applications and we were only successful with 3. Some scoring changes with the new federal makeup, and that just kind of caught us by surprise. But we do have several good projects. Hanley, Manchester to Litzinger being one of them. For years, we have been trying to figure out how to improve the pedestrian experience in this corridor. And our biggest hangup has been utilities and how to deal with one particular frontage. It's about a block long, but it is very, very tight frontage. What we have come to the conclusion that we can improve the pedestrian experience, and the main goal of this project was to get people to the Goodwill. Anybody who's not in a car, maybe coming from the Metrolink station, at the Maplewood Metrolink station, we are going to improve the west side of the road and introduce a new protected pedestrian signal right at Goodwill. So it'll put them right at their front door. And the rest of the entire corridor will be full ADA as well. Well, we have several other full ADA projects that's improving all existing pedestrian facilities to ADA compliance. When we are done, the entire corridor from I-64 to Manchester will be very close to ADA compliant. The other 2 projects that we received, Parker, if you are familiar with our action plan for walking and biking, Parker Road in North County between 367 and Bell Fountain Road is named as high impact, which means for us in the planning stages, if at all possible, we try and implement the recommendation. On this section of Parker, the recommendation is off-street shared use path. And what we found was that the only good way to do that was to actually relocate the road in this area in front of an apartment complex. While we were planning that project, Great Rivers Greenway also came out with results of what they called their North County listening tour. Very well thought out planning process on their part, a lot of public involvement, and they came up with a future possible alignment that includes this section of Parker. So what we ended up doing, rather than trying to build something that may or may not meet their needs, we'll coordinate with them on a future project. And this project turned into more of a pavement maintenance. So for this round, not a lot of complete streets improvements, but it has some exciting potential in the future. Third project we were awarded last year was Trianon Bridge. That's in an older subdivision in the Baldwin area. Subdivision does not have sidewalk. We definitely do not have funding sources to add sidewalk to older subdivisions, so that will pretty much go back in the same footprint. So as I mentioned, several applications last year unsuccessful. We will be tweaking those this year. They are shown on the agenda as resubmittals in parentheses. Am I not? I'm sorry, I'm not used to this application. My share didn't go through. Let me try again. Ah, that's what I did. Okay. All right. Can you guys see that now?
Yes, we can see it, Glenn.
Okay. So that is Parker. This is the apartment complex I was talking about. They have a lot of parking that's up close to the road. It's an older open drainage 2-lane road that just, we were, like I said, we were afraid that to really program and build the wrong thing that wouldn't meet the needs of what we show in the action plan and what GRG would like to do in the future. And since I have to go past there anyway, this is what I was talking about on Hanley. Here's the Maplewood Metrolink station, and here's the Goodwill. So what we will do is we will improve the pedestrian experience on the east side and provide a protected crossing with a full PED signal to take people right to their front door. I'm not going to go through a lot of the applications we have in mind for this next round in depth, unless somebody has a particular one they're interested in. As you can see by the first heading in the agenda, we have probably half of our applications are really basic pavement maintenance. We are having issues keeping up with road condition, and we need to really still concentrate on road condition as a main factor for choosing projects. Two projects in particular have a little bit more than pavement maintenance involved. One being a resubmittal for McKnight Road. We found there are some sight distance issues that need correcting, just development over the years, and some areas that maybe developers didn't have control over a frontage. An entrance went in, trees grow, sight distance starts to get impacted. And we found a couple crashes related to those sight distance issues, so we are going to resolve them with this project. And then on Revis Barracks Road, which did not show up in my KMZ, I apologize, so I'm going to have to fly there manually. And I went too far. Okay, so Revis Barracks Road, it crosses Union Road in South County. Union parallels I-55, and I-55 and Union are very close together. The intersection spacing is very, very tight. That has led to a crash history for our intersection at Revis and Union that has perplexed us for several years. The pavement on Revis Barracks Road has come up for treatment. And at the intersection itself, we're going to try some of the new things that you may recently have seen at other intersections. The MoDOT County Joint Safety Project over the last few years built some of what we call centerline hardening, where if there's a median on the road approaching, that median gets extended more into the intersection, but that extension is meant to be mountable. So large vehicles can traverse that extension if needed and off track, whereas passenger cars are meant to go around the extension, slowing down their turn and making it more of a 90-degree turn where they can see the pedestrians better. That will be an interesting one. And another resubmittal. It's not actually resubmittal because last year we tried for TAP funding for a project on Weber Road. And that is another Weber Road project. Here in South County, Weber between McKenzie and Gravois. If you're familiar with the area, that is a community amenity called 9 Mile. They have food trucks, they have concerts, kind of a community gathering place. The entire complex it is in rebuilt the south side of Weber in this area, full ADA compliance, and it's in really good shape. And the north side, not so much. There's missing curb ramps, there's narrow sidewalk flush with pavement. It's just kind of a mess. So last year we tried for TAP funding which is transportation alternatives. That is not meant to do anything with the road. It's meant to concentrate the money on the pedestrian. And now the road itself, you can see in this picture, it is coming due. So we are going to try and combine the two in a much more comprehensive project and make this entire corridor much, much improved for both cars and pedestrians. And next up on the agenda, I know you've heard of this one before, and I'm sorry if I'm repetitive. It is a very needed project, and we are very hopeful. Last time you heard about it was probably with respect to Safe Streets for All. That application has not, we have not found out if that is successful yet or not. We think the announcements might come out sometime between now and when applications for TIP are due, which is in February. If for some reason it is unsuccessful with Safe Streets for All, a lot of the information for the applications is similar. We will be submitting for TIP safety or STP safety. It would be a continuation of what we have done in Berkeley, east in Ferguson, and it will include a space reallocation from 4 lanes with parking on both sides to 3 lanes with parking only where absolutely needed and buffered bike lanes. Another interesting part about that project will be converting this traffic signal at Chambers and Elizabeth to a roundabout with only 1 lane approaching in each direction. It fits very well, minimal right-of-way is needed, and it should be a lot safer for all users. We are also preparing 2 bridge applications, basic bridge replacements. One's already been in the works, Lucas Hunt Bridge. That being over railroad, we started a few years ago. East West Gateway was on board with just doing design and right away while we try and navigate the rough waters of the railroad world. They can be difficult to deal with. And then the Wideman Bridge is bridge replacement. It's just south of Manchester Road. It is high impact on the action plan, and we will be including a widening for a shared use path on one side of the bridge. When the road comes up, we will try and when the road condition comes up, I should say, we will try and see if we can fit in the rest of the shared use path. But we will make sure the bridge is ready, considering it has a 50-year lifespan. Okay, and so that is our STP TIP applications. Just like last year, East West Gateway is releasing call for projects for the Transportation Alternatives Program at the same time as STP. Last year we did try and convince them of the need to update our action plan for walking and biking. It didn't quite make the cut. We are going to try again this year, and hopefully hopefully we are successful. And one other TAP application on Roxana. That is a small, it's more of, right now it's actually called a local street, but it is more of a subdivision collector. So it acts as a collector because it connects Lindbergh to Concord School, both fairly major roads for the area. There is a lot of pedestrian activity that is forced to walk in the road. The north half of the road is only 20 feet wide. So it's not really, it's not safe for people walking in the road in a lot of locations. But when it's only 20 feet wide, it gets a little worse. So we took that request seriously. It did not show up in the action plan because it is technically right now labeled a local road, but it really acts as a collector. That's one of the types of misses we're hoping to avoid if we get the action plan update. And we, the planning staff in place now did not really work with the team that created our action plan. So it's a good time for us to update the whole thing, make sure we're proposing the right improvement in the right place and looking at the entire county as a whole. All right, so that is the federal applications realm in a very quick nutshell. And at the end of the meeting, anybody wants to talk more about any one particular road or application, we'd be glad to do that. As far as other planning efforts go, we have a county-wide, well, region-wide now, the entire East-West Gateway region has a regional safety plan, a Vision Zero plan that East-West Gateway hosts on their website. It's called Gateway to Safer Roadways. If anybody's not familiar with it, it's got a pretty prominent place on their website. But what it did was it compared all of our roads, and that's the entire East-West Gateway region, looking for which roads have the most crash numbers. Sorry, I'm multitasking while I look for that. I have too many my places in Google Earth. So what they have done is, for their entire region, they've looked at all crash data, weighted it for crashes per year per mile, sliced and diced it for contributing circumstances, mode of travel. They have detected the corridors where pedestrians have been most at risk or bicyclists have been most at risk. And they have three categories of, let me see if that shows up here. No. So they have three categories, the top 10%. So the corridor in question is in the top 10% of roads in the region that really need a good hard look. They have the top 25%, which is shown in orange on my screen. And then they have top 50%, which is in yellow on my screen. Hindsight, I probably should have picked a different color because it's the same yellow as Google Earth uses for roads. So I apologize for that. But basically, if it's in the top 50%, it's not on our radar as a priority, but it's definitely gives us a clue that we should look at safety. We always look at safety whenever we're touching a corridor, but it gives us the hint we need that we need to take a really good hard look. But right now we will be concentrating on the red lines, which is top 10%. The area I have outlined in blue happens to be where vast majority of our top 10% corridors lie. That is bounded by I-270, I-170, I-70, and St. Louis city limits. So showed you Chambers Road. We're still going to do a road safety audit on that. Our projects will improve about half of it. The road safety audit will help us determine if we did enough, if there's anything else we can add, and then we will road safety audit the rest of the corridor at the same time. And then a lot of north-south roads like Hanley. This is the fluorescent corridor, which the county does not maintain south of 270. But West Fluorescent corridor shows up prominently. We have a lot of improvements going on there. Same as Chambers. We will keep the whole thing in the road safety audit. Make sure we're doing the right thing now and see if there's anything else we need to do. Halls Ferry Road, that's one that county and MoDOT kind of share maintenance. It goes back and forth, but the entire corridor is shown in red there. MoDOT has already started their road safety audit, so we will follow up with ours, and if there's any coordination needed for improvements that come out of those road safety audits, we will work with MoDOT on that. And then lastly, another north-south arterial, very important in this area, is Bell Fountain Road. So the red on Bell Fountain Road goes all the way up into Spanish Lake and all the way down to the city limits of St. Louis. We will perform a road safety audit on that entire corridor. That road safety audit will help inform planning. Our Department of Planning has an initiative for the entire Spanish Lake area. They call it a small area study. Any improvements that come out of our road safety audit will be included in possible improvements for the, I would say the area, their study area is bounded by 367 and the rivers and 270. Okay. The road safety audits should be kicking off here, hopefully in the next month or two. We will group them. We will solicit for consultants, and the way a road safety audit is conducted, the engineers are not the only eyes on the corridor. We get a group of multidiscipline folks together, engineers, planners, health professionals. We'll get some folks from parks and outside, even other agencies have gotten people from area hospitals involved, and community groups. Anybody that has an interest in that particular corridor, we get together as a group, look at crash statistics, existing conditions, and brainstorm ideas to improve safety. And next up is Mr. Shrewsbury. He's going to give you a summary of where we are with a recent award for a Riverview Great Street Study. It's a Riverview Drive in North County. That's in the area of the zoo and the confluence. So go ahead, John.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Thanks for that very informative report there. I'm going to, as Glenn said, I'm going to talk just a few minutes about on a project we were awarded in collaboration with Great Rivers Greenway to look at a street study. East-West Gateway is managing this project, but as you may have heard about, there is a new property in Spanish Lake, the Wild Care Park, that the St. Louis Zoo is working on right now with a planned opening in 2027. And they are anticipating over 400,000 visitors a year. So that's a lot of folks trying to get to this property, which is located, I'll show you, it's up on Riverview Drive at Larimore. And that roadway to your left is Riverview Drive. To the right is Larimore that leads to this Wild Care Park. Kind of a rural route at this time. You can see from this photo, it's rather undeveloped. There's not a whole lot out here at this time, but there's a few single family homes and some businesses on the left-hand side of the road. The left-hand side, the east side of Larimore, or I'm sorry, Riverview Drive is pretty much floodplain. So we're going to look at this. We've hired a consultant to make a great street study of this corridor and to give us an idea of hopefully what can be done in the future with potential development and potential road improvements along this project, that corridor here. In a bigger picture, this red boundary line kind of shows the parcels of ground that we're going to zero in on, mostly on the west side in this photo, but there are several options for Great Rivers Greenway's trail to go either in the roadway or alongside this roadway on the east side. But the area you see highlighted in yellow here is a 500-year floodplain, and then we have all of this area out in here is in the 100-year floodplain. So that area is less prone to much development. You have the Wild Care Park on the north end, up on Larimore Road, as I indicated. On the south end of this study area is a Chain of Rocks Park, which is in a recently developed park in the city of St. Louis that Great Rivers Greenway has done a nice job. It's kind of the northern terminus of their current Mississippi Greenway, but they have plans and visions to carry that up northward because you have this big area up here, which is Columbia Bottoms Conservation Area, which draws a lot of visitors as well, and may even draw more if this roadway gets improved. But currently, I'll show you, excuse me, the current status is we have a 2-lane road. It's pretty much, as I said, a rural road. There's not much shoulder on it. There's some ideas about how we can improve this, and some of it entails, heavy infrastructure work that we have to do. With this, we have an older bridge here over Watkins Creek, completely in the floodplain. The floodway runs right through here and over the road. That is a fairly old bridge that needs to be replaced. So there's items like that along the corridor, and as well as numerous culverts that we're aware of that need replacement. So there's some heavy work that needs to be done following this study, and that's where this is heading. Is that with our consultant giving this a good study, we'll be able to come up with a game plan of how to proceed here in the future, and it'll help us with future funding of some of these projects that must be done prior to anything else happening along the roadway.
So John, could you bring your map back up?
Sure. This is an overall map of the area. We can zoom in a little closer. Shows some of the parcels that are involved. As I said, there's not a lot of development at this time. Most of the developed properties you can see are to the west with this higher density along Larimore, and there's in Spanish Lake, there's elementary schools, there's parks, there's subdivisions, there's neighborhoods. But this Riverview Drive is pretty much the obvious route that visitors will take from I-270. Riverview will take you directly. It's only maybe a mile and a half to the zoo property. It's not very far, so it's very convenient. Maybe 2 miles to get it there, and so this is the area that we're really going to focus on. Along the Mississippi, the city has, this is city property on the eastern side here that's potential development site. But we have Riverview Drive runs from the city into, as I said, the Spanish Lake area of St. Louis County.
Yeah. So one of the improvements we know for sure that the Great Streets proposal will include is a trail that will connect Chain of Rocks Park to the zoo. And that gets, in my discussion on Parker, I mentioned that Great Rivers Greenway had a North County listening tour. That's part of that North County listening tour. And then that trail would turn into the county and run along Parker. But part of this just specific to Riverview is, as engineers, we can rebuild stuff to current standards. But what we don't want to do is rebuild this as it sits today, but tweaking things like the bridge widths that John pointed to, and then come to find out the zoo attracted a bunch of development and we need a wider road in 10 years. So what the Great Street Study will do is it will combine that land use piece with the roadway piece and tell us exactly what should go there now to not future proof, but it will be a lot better informed than just us engineers going in and rebuilding what's there.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions on that project?
This is Todd Antoine at GRG. Just a comment, and I think this is a good map to show everyone. So what you're highlighting there with the Lighthouse Point, that's been an area that I believe was in the 5-year floodplain that, working with the Corps of Engineers, the developer of that site has put fill on it. I think it was in one of your pictures I saw here. Yes. So I think that's one of the things we have to just take into account is that unless things change, I don't think there's anything that can preclude a developer from doing other things into the floodplain going further north. And I think that's why we're just worried about what, how do we all work together to figure out the right size of this roadway. I think most development will happen on the west side of the road, but given that huge thing is down there, that was taken out of the floodplain over a series of years. So I appreciate the county really taking a position of looking at what, the highest and best land uses that could happen with this new amenity that's coming in up there in North County.
Yes, it will help with the East-West Gateway actually coordinating this study and getting some feedback from the city. The city, if this project moves forward and development plans are created, that it's when we can hope for some improvements along this frontage.
Yeah, so what the study really does for us is it gives us funding opportunities, whether it's public-private partnerships, because there's desired development, or grant applications. Having a study also opens the door to some of the larger grant applications. So that's one of the big pushes behind having a comprehensive study, and which will also dovetail with the Spanish Lake small area study. So we have a really comprehensive idea of what the area could be, and we can build accordingly, and we can attract the financing necessary to realize that vision. All right. So I would like to open the floor to open discussion if there aren't any more questions about rear review in particular. All right. Last call. Would anybody like to talk about anything that we've talked about in the presentation today, or anything else that's on your mind? All right, I don't see any hands. So thank you everybody for attending today. We really appreciate it, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for attending.